So today I am in person with an 11th generation Ford Thunderbird, car that was much unloved throughout its entire production run. Probably still unloved today. Doesn't get a lot of respect. Didn't sell well. Not particularly sporty. They sold only about 15,000 of them in 2003, which is what this is. This is a 2003, so it has the upgraded V8. They bumped the horsepower from 252 up to 280, which is a significant increase, really. But it's still not a sporty car. I want to know what you guys think. Most people bought these with the intention of it being a future classic, and I want to know, what do you think? We're pushing 25 years old now. Classic or not? I really like the styling. I think it has aged well. I think it looked good when it was new, and it still looks good. But you know, if you bought this car for it to be a Corvette competitor or a sports car, you were mistaken. Most people bought these cars as a Sunday driver, as a car to go get coffee on the weekends, and for that, it is absolutely perfect. It provides just the right amount of power and luxury, great styling, good weekend car. But let me know what you think. Is the Thunderbird just a bad idea, poor execution, or, you know, was it just misunderstood? We're gonna hop in a second, take a drive. But yeah, this is the sister car to the Lincoln LS, and I guess you could say a close cousin to the Jaguar S-Type. Two cars that were pretty much unloved in their own right. So not much love for the trio of vehicles. Like I said, we're going to hop in, take a look, take a drive. You'll see that the interior is almost identical to the Lincoln LS. They did not do much in the way of customization or making the Ford version unique, and I guess that makes sense since it was never expected to sell in huge numbers, though it ended up selling in far smaller numbers than anticipated. But you do on the exterior, I mean, obviously have this unique body. You've got the retro touches, the porthole windows, the Thunderbird script. I mean, it doesn't look at anything like a Lincoln or a Jaguar, but the interior is straight up lifted from the Lincoln, which is okay. You know, it was a nice place to be in 2003. So let's hop in, take a drive. I also realized I didn't pop the trunk. Let's check out the lack of storage space in this thing. You know, if you keep the top up, there's actually the possibility of getting some golf clubs in here. It's not so bad. It's actually a lot bigger than you would expect, to be honest. And this car was featured in the horribly received James Bond movie, Die Another Day. If you want to see a Ford Premier Auto Group glory, that's a great film. This car was in it, the brand new Range Rover and the Aston Martin Vanquish. Poorly received movie, just like the car was poorly received. So here we are driving the Thunderbird. As you can see, there are less than 50,000 miles on it. As you can also see, it has the exact same interior as a Lincoln LS of the same vintage. One thing it doesn't have, however, is basically any headroom whatsoever. I am 6'1". My head is touching the roof, the ceiling. There's no height adjustment on the seat. There is a fore and aft adjustment. I guess there's a little height adjustment on the seat. It's really more of a rock down, like you rock the back of the cushion down. I think that's really the best they could do. I just did that and it gave me a little more room. My head is no longer touching the ceiling. let's talk about driving this thing. So, well, first, actually, it's a little different than the Lincoln LS. The gauges are different. There's the blue accents on the needles. There's no, instead of fake wood, we have, or real wood, I actually believe, aluminum trim, metal trim pieces. You got the seat heaters down there, dual zone climate control, standard Ford switchgear this time, six disc in dash changer, Thunderbird script on the trim piece on the glove box, but the rest is pretty much identical to what you would see in the Lincoln. It's a real comfortable place to be. I mean, if you're thinking about this era of American car, 2003, it is probably right up there with the best of American car interiors. The Lincoln LS, this Chrysler 300M, that was a great interior, really high quality interior, all soft touch materials, real wood, and things like that. Really beautiful gauges. So this while by today's standards wouldn't be the greatest. For the time, it was certainly respectable in this price class. You do have some oversight, such as the hard plastic right here, and things like that. But and just the overall look is kind of drab and boring with the all black. You think for a retro vehicle, they could have done a little more, and they did have some special color packages available that brighten things up a little, but still pretty run-of-the-mill Ford interior. Anyway, so we're just driving through the city streets of Portland right now, and you can probably hear there's a lot of rattling. We have the hardtop on, which has so many rattles. It's very loud. Creaking is really the better term than rattling. You can kind of feel it, working against the body, trying to wiggle, and it's being held in place. Other than that, road noise otherwise is okay. But the creaking and the rattling from the top is incredibly noticeable, and a little bit annoying if you don't have the radio on. Good news is the radio works just fine, and the radio works just fine. Six disc changer works, and you can hide that noise. It's a beautiful winter's day here in Portland, Oregon. To be doing this drive, it's not raining. With the lack of visibility and the halogen headlights, and the windshield wipers that kind of creak, it's not the greatest car to be driving in the rain in Portland, but on a day like this, it's really beautiful. Nice drive. The great thing about the Thunderbird is people still look at you when you drive this car. It gets looks. It always has, and it still does. You don't see many of these around anymore, and you never did, but you really don't anymore. And so people will look and they'll ask you about it. They really do. And so from that perspective, there's a legitimate case to be made that this will be a classic vehicle at some point. You're getting those stares, you're getting those questions, and it's an attention seeker. So we're gonna go over a bridge here soon, assuming traffic cooperates with us, and we'll probably get a nice little view here. This is not a car that you want to drive for an extended period of time because of the previously mentioned headroom issue and just general tightness in general. Just overall tightness, close quarters. Let's open it up here a little. It sounds pretty good. Nowadays, everyone has a turbocharged 4-cylinder, and even though this is a small V8, even though it's a civilized, refined V8, you miss that sound when you're driving a 4-cylinder car, and it definitely, you get a little bit of the V8 exhaust note when you kind of put the pedal down. And like I said, this car only has less than 50,000 miles on it for being 21, 22 years old. Less than 50,000 miles on it. It is basically brand new inside. Everything works. The leather doesn't have a wrinkle on it. The seat heaters work great. The dual zone, standard issue Ford automatic climate control works beautifully. So, we're staying warm on this winter's day. But just the general crampedness, tight quarters, you're not going to want to drive this car for too long. Oh, and then of course you've got the multifunction steering wheel with audio controls, cruise control, very, very nicely appointed in terms of the features. Really the only feature that was available on the Lincoln or on the Jaguar S-Type, it's platform mates. That you don't have an option for here is the navigation system. 2003 navigation was still more or less restricted to the premium and luxury brands, and Ford wasn't really offering that navigation system yet. But other than that, heated seats, some trip computer functions. It doesn't have the full trip computer that I believe would have been right here on the right on the Lincoln LS, so it's missing that. So you're not getting, live miles per gallon data and things like that. But you do have this great steering wheel with all the controls, the dual zone climate control, the heated seats, power soft top, auto dimming night mirror, automatic headlights, power mirrors. It's plenty of stuff, plenty of good stuff. And so, one more thing I wanted to show you while we're at the stoplight is the mirrors. They are super tiny. They don't light up. They are just terrible. So then the whole visor itself is a very cheap headliner material. That's a big fail, I think, on Ford's part. This is all hard plastic, and the terrible, barely covered visors without the lighted mirrors. I think, a little cheapening there that is unfortunate, I would say. But other than that, and some of the hard plastic down here, could be better. So one thing I totally forgot to mention, because I never use them, is the manual shift mode on the 5-speed automatic transmission. 2003, early 2000s, the manual shift modes were, all the rage. Then they went to the paddle shifters on the steering wheel, but these were all the rage in the early 2000s. I had a Chrysler 300M that had the 4-speed auto stick. Frankly, was terrible. The responsiveness was just awful. This is a lot better. The shifts are quick. It's responsive. The speed limit here just increased, so I'm going to switch it into manual mode, and we'll shift down, add a little more power, and shift manually here. So you'll see on the dash, it switches to SST mode to show the manual shifting. We're going to drop it down to third here, and then we shift to fourth and fifth. Very responsive, really helps with the acceleration, honestly. It's fun, and it definitely changes the whole character of this vehicle. One other thing to point out is this does a push to shift up and pull down for push up to shift up, pull down to shift down. Logically, that makes sense. Forward for up, back for down. However, when you're using it, I prefer the ones where you pull back to shift up and then push forward to shift down. That's why I prefer those, and I think that's what more of the German cars do. I think BMW, Audi, etc. The Chrysler was tap right to shift up, tap left to shift down, and that was actually okay too. But this particular configuration is the one I probably like the least. I mean, all of them you get used to very quickly, so it's not a big deal. But as you're accelerating, you're kind of moving backwards in your seat. You're getting pushed back into your seat, so it kind of makes sense to have the pull back be the up shift up a gear. But I know everyone has their preference, and like I said, they're all real easy to get used to. This one works great. It's quite responsive, and yeah, I wanted to make sure I showed that feature before I got flamed in the comments. So yeah, that's it. That's really about all we got. We're going 55 miles an hour now, cruising smoothly. I mean, you do feel a lot of bumps, but not any more so than any other sporty-ish car. And when you get on smooth pavement and you're driving straight, the rattles from the top that we talked about earlier, they kind of go away. So we're enjoying ourselves right now. And yeah, that is the quick drive of the 2003 Ford Thunderbird. Thanks for watching.